Greetings, my friends. Thank you for watching this video, and if you would be so kind, please subscribe if you like what you see. Help our channel to keep growing and keep fighting the war to save pop culture. Together, we can end this destructive conflict and bring order to the galaxy. Enjoy, and thanks. Greetings, my friends. This is a dark day for James Bond fans. There is no way for me to go ahead and discuss this situation without actually having some spoilers, so I would urge you to see the movie if you're going to see the movie before you watch this video, or more to the point, I would urge you not to go see the movie at all. If you are a James Bond fan, believe me, you're not going to want to see the movie. Is the movie terrible? Is the movie a misfire? Is it badly done? Those questions are moot, my friends. It doesn't really matter. That's not the point of this. The point of it is that James Bond is dead. There. I said it, as if you didn't know, as if it wasn't all over the mainstream media and in forums all over the land. I mean, you'd have to be completely out of touch not to know that they went ahead and killed James Bond at the end of this pointless exercise of sound and fury signifying nothing. This is a character that has been around all of my life, literally all of my life, for a lot of our lives. Our fathers before us loved James Bond. Our fathers before us introduced us to James Bond, showed us the ways of 007. It was a rite of passage for a father to take a son to see a James Bond movie, to share in that romanticized version of masculinity, that vision of a world gone by where men were men and women were women, and chances are one or the other was going to shoot at you before the final reel. It was a time of great bonding. I know, it's a bit of a pun, but it fits. Men and boys bonded over James Bond. This was something beautiful in our lives. And James Bond was timeless. James Bond was something precious for men, a version of masculinity, a hero that we could embrace, that we could, unlike Superman or Spider-Man or some of our other heroes, we could actually see ourselves in some alternate world being James Bond, being good with guns and ladies, having our martinis shaken, not stirred. It was a comforting thing. It was a beautiful thing. And now they've gone and destroyed it. So you see, my friends, it doesn't really matter how the action sequences are. It doesn't matter the fact that they went ahead and degrade James Bond. They have him retired and they turn over his number to this woman. At the very least, they take that number away from her at the end of the movie, which is appropriate. But at the end of the movie, we see something we've never seen before. We see James Bond die. Why? Are they saying that Daniel Craig was the epitome of Bond? We know that's not true. Some people feel it's Sean Connery. I think most people. Some people feel it's Roger Moore. I am in the Connery camp. I think that Connery was the epitome of James Bond. And yet somehow, through all of those transitions, from Connery to Lazenby to Moore to Dalton, etc. and so on, all the way down the line, they would just seamlessly transition. It was like a multiverse of Bonds. But this time, we actually have to watch James Bond die. Why is that? Now, think about it. What message does that convey? That conveys the message that is entirely consistent with the woke times, that the day of the white male is over, that white males are finished, that there is no place in the world now for white males, and so this hostility, this racist hostility towards a particular group is symbolically captured by this moment of seeing a white male icon that has never died before die now. Why now? because it's the time of the season for wokeness. That's what they wanted to do. They wanted to go ahead and demoralize us some more in a time of COVID and economic strife, environmental calamity. They wanted to go ahead and put the boot in. They wanted to go ahead and kill another one of our classic characters. They wanted to rub our faces in it. They wanted to symbolically announce to the world that the time of the white male is done. That is the code here. And that's the problem, because moving forward, what we should be doing is saying that this is the time for humanity, that no one should ever be excluded from the table because of their color or their sex or their gender preference. No one should be excluded from the table. But this wokeness is repeating the mistake of all racists throughout history, thinking that we can have one group that it's all right to discriminate against, one group that can be excluded from the table, a worthy target for the Orwellian 2 minutes of hate. Those of us who grew up with Star Trek embrace universal brotherhood and sisterhood, not just with human beings, but of all races, all species on Earth or beyond. Total equality, total regard for the sovereign respect of all people. But that is lacking here. They just are methodically, out of revenge, out of some kind of critical race theory, whatever you want to say, they are hell-bent on excluding one segment of the population from the table. And as long as they do that, racism will continue to thrive. They're not solving anything. They're just kicking the can of racism down the road for more exploitation. And I think it's disgusting. And so, James Bond had to die. But what they have done now is kill the franchise. In my opinion, and at least for me, they have killed the franchise moving forward. I have no desire to see any more new James Bond. I am not interested in participating in the destruction of Western civilization by giving these people money. I am not interested in making allowances for them to abuse James Bond even more in the future. There will probably be stunt casting. The next Bond will more likely than not be a person of color or a woman. I don't know. Think about it, folks. Why now? Why, after all these decades, my entire life, Bond has been a presence in my life, handed down from my father, who used to tape record Bond movies when they would air on TV. They would go ahead and hang a microphone over the television speaker, and he would record it so that he could listen back in his study when he was working, turning a movie into a radio play on little cassettes. That was my dad. But I tell you, for all its technological limitations, that was a better world than this one. It was a much better world. Because Hollywood wasn't trying to brainwash us or control us. They were trying to get into our wallets like any other honest capitalist. They were trying to make good movies. They were doing their best to entertain, not out of altruism or kindness or a concern for Western civilization, but out of greed. Gordon Gekko famously said, "Greed is good" in Wall Street, and it is to some extent. Hollywood seems to have forgotten the ways of greed. They've gone the way of woke. And when you go woke, you go broke. That's just the way it is. That axiom has been proven time and time again. And sadly, it has come to James Bond now. The most toxically masculine of all the franchises. And that's another reason why they had to kill James Bond. Because that sort of thing just isn't gonna do anymore. Testosterone is on its way to becoming an illegal substance. There will be daily injections of soy, I imagine, at some point in this brave new world. And by brave new world, I mean craven, woke wasteland. But I'm not going to participate in it. I'm not going to watch any more of the abuse of James Bond moving forward. It doesn't matter, folks, whether or not the chase scenes are good, whether the dialogue's good, whether the villain's any good. All that matters is that they went ahead and they chipped away at another piece of our bedrock. They went ahead and trashed another of our icons. And this is all according to their plan. This is not a bug. This is a feature. Bond has never had to die to transition at the end of someone's run on Bond until now. And there is significance in that. Some of you will not be able to resist. There is talk that this is a pretty good movie, although other people say that the action sequences are strung together and disjointed, obviously because of all the reshoots, to try and de-wokeify it as much as possible when they saw disaster looming. But disaster is here. Because James Bond has been sacrificed on the altar of wokeness. He has been killed to make a point. And it makes me sick. So let's make sure that Hollywood understands that the point of Bond's death was without respect, we reject. It opens today, folks. I urge you to skip it. Don't allow them to put the death of James Bond in your mental dojo. You're not that starved for entertainment. There is so much out there with all the streaming platforms that you have not seen. Classic movies. Go back and rewatch the whole Bond series from start to finish, for God's sakes, before you look at this movie, because this movie is trying to lodge the death of another of our icons in your mind. And regardless of how you feel about Daniel Craig as Bond, regardless of any of that, once you allow that to happen, it will lodge in your consciousness, in your subconsciousness, and it will taint the way you see the franchise forever. So skip it. Don't be so eager for the high of new James Bond that you allow them to get into your head and mess with your memories of the great James Bond. This is a melancholy day, my friends. I hope you will heed my advice and stay away. From the center of the earth, this is Dictor Van Doomcock bidding you all, my friends. Remember, without respect we reject. Keep your wallets closed to those who destroy our franchises and our geek mythology. And above all else, stay angry.
Ha 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 ha.